Steve Reis from Does It Doom and Woodwright Guitars, and you're watching another episode of Hooked from Premier Guitar. So I can remember being about 15 or 16 at the time. My friends and I just listened to a ton of punk. We were really into the Misfits and Sam Hain and Danzig and that whole scene, but also Minor Threat and Black Flag and some other more standard metal of the time, Pantera, Slayer. And I can remember hearing about this band Black Sabbath, and one of my buddies who was into NoFX had this version of Iron Man that they had done. I remember being blown away by the song and just thinking, wow, this song's incredible. And then at the same time, also, same buddy having Megadeth doing Paranoid. Thinking, okay, I've heard of this Sabbath band, Black Sabbath, need to learn more about them. And I'm not even sure at the time I realized that Ozzy was the singer of Black Sabbath. Don't even think I knew that. So that summer I was away probably within the same month or so on vacation. And I remember my dad and I go into the little CD store in the mall, really small. They didn't have much, but they had, We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll. And I can remember buying that day Led Zeppelin live at the BBC and Black Sabbath, We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll. And going home and getting my little CD player out and throwing it in there and just being blown away by the, obviously the pouring of the rain and the cracks of thunder and the church bells foreshadowing everything that was to come. And then obviously the song launches into that super heavy intro. Right there just changed it all for me. I think you've got the root, the octave, and then the trill between the fifth and the flat fifth, that tritone interval just sounding so dissonant and just evil. Still to this day, just playing that riff, there's just something about it. It's one of the most evil riffs ever written, and just so much so just set the template for Doom. All metal that was to follow, but specifically it's just a very doom-laden riff. What I also love about the song itself is just how dynamic it is, right? It starts out super heavy, and then the entire band brings it back. Tony winding his guitar almost to zero on the volume, as he was always riding that volume knob in general, but just bringing it way down. And Ozzy, of course, with Geezer's famous "What Is This That Stands Before Me" figure in black, which points at me, just an iconic lyric. And the entire song obviously just had that foreboding, creepy feel to it, and it kind of plods along slowly, alternating between the heavy, the kind of light, and the shade, as they say, before launching into the bridge section where things just take off. Originally played in the key of G minor. This is all G natural minor, just a really great bridge section, all down picking. I can remember later on reading, I'm sure at the time I thought it was alternate picking, but Tony specifically talking about down picking that entire phrase to just keep it heavier and intentionally sound heavier, and just cool that he was just thinking that way at the time, you know. Probably not common to decide you're gonna down pick fast that way, and again, just setting the template for heavy metal. And then you transition as it moves towards the solo. He's got the little wah going on with these big chords. You got a full G major chord, and then this just really dissonant single finger barred down the entire fretboard at the 3rd fret. And then, of course, he launches into the awesome solo for that song. Pretty simple by modern day standards, but just a great pentatonic lead. Just very Tony, you know, just ascending the fretboard with those unison bends. And then late in the solo, you've got the classic repetitive licks and the Iommic trills. Nobody trills to this day like Iommi. Then, of course, the outro. Obviously, playing through a late 60s Laney supergroup today, just Tony's playing influenced me and has stuck with me forever. Still my biggest influence, still the guitar player I love the most. I can remember going home that summer and telling all my buddies about this Tony Iommi and Black Sabbath, and of course I didn't know any better. I'd never heard of him before, and I remember one of my buddies being like, I think it's Tony Iommi. I thought the liner notes to the CD said Lomi. But it was fun today to think about Black Sabbath, the song, the band, listening to the band for the first time. I want to thank Premier Guitar for having me on an episode of Hooked here, and I want to thank all of you for watching. Once again, I'm Steve from Does It Doom and Woodwright Guitars, and always remember, Tony Iommi is your friend.